Namaskar, Mitro. Good evening, friends. Welcome. In this episode of Through Literary Lens, we are again here with you. And Vinod ji, Namaskar.
Very good evening, Rajesh ji.
Ji.
This time we are going to discuss a very famous poem from Victorian age.
Yeah, by Mathew Arnold.
Yes, Mathew Arnold, one of the oldest running poets of 19th century. He stands in contrast to Robert Browning, who expresses optimism through his poetry.
So you mean to say that Mathew Arnold expresses pessimism
Yes.
predominantly?
Yes,
Yeah.
elegiac note
Yeah.
runs through all his poetic creation. He is considered to be melancholic poet of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at his poems, many of them they have been written in the form of elegy.
Yeah. What is this elegy? Seems to be a technical term.
Yeah, elegy is a form of English poetry.
Mm-hmm.
When poet laments something loud and lost,
Yeah.
usually elegy is written to commemorate death of a loved one, a friend, beloved. Even sometimes it is written to commemorate the national loss of a city, fall of a nation, etc.
Any loss which has to be mourned. Yeah, mourning on the loss, you can say. Isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the death is the beginning point for the elegy, and from there, poet launches himself in the diversity of fields. He begins to reflect philosophically over life and death and many other issues, maybe religion, philosophy, aesthetics, art, poetry, and so on.
Definitely, because death is such an occurrence that it gives rise to all sorts of inquiries, speculations, and thoughts. As they say, pregnancy, and birth gave rise to science, to investigation,
Yes.
and death gave rise to philosophy.
And today we are going to discuss perhaps the most famous poem from the pen of Mathew Arnold, and the name of poem is Scholar Gypsy.
Scholar Gypsy, Vinodji, seems to be contradictory in terms. On the one hand, scholar.
Yes,
On the other hand, gypsy, the
exactly.
nomads.
And before we come to this title of the poem,
Yeah.
let me share with the listeners that Scholar Gypsy is a pastoral elegy. Elegy we already explained,
Yeah.
but it is a pastoral elegy.
Hmm.
That means the entire action of the poem is set in the pastoral or the rural surroundings.
Rustic
Surroundings.
Yeah,
Even the
meadows,
language,
grasslands,
yes, imagery,
animals,
metaphors,
yeah.
all they are taken from the rustic, that is the rural life. The speaker of the poem assumes the guise of shepherd, and he speaks to another friend who is also shepherd.
And all this is symbolic as well. Isn't
Exactly,
it?
it's a symbolic as well. And pastoral surrounding symbolically evokes the sense of simplicity,
Primitiveness,
innocence, purity, etc. So that is really one of the very important ideas that unfolds itself through the poem, right?
Yes.
And in the beginning of the poem, we find the speaker and his friend. They are in
It's
the
a long
field.
poem of 25 stanzas of 10 lines each.
Yeah. So the beginning is, pastoral. There is a detailed description of Oxford countryside, right? There is a reference to the Cumnor Hills. There is a reference to the elm tree, which stands on the hill, Oxford Hill. And Mathew Arnold, basically, he learned at Oxford, and he had a close friendship with another boy, Arthur Clough, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And in another elegy by the name of
Tyresis.
he laments the death of his friend Arthur Clough.
Yeah.
So these two poems, right, Scholar Gypsy and Tyresis, they are called as twin poems in English literature.
Yeah.
So coming back to Scholar Gypsy, when the poem starts, right, speaker, the shepherd speaks to another
shepherd, and
it is a time of the evening, right?
Yeah.
The sheep and the goats, they are coming back to the fields, right? and there is all environment of serenity, quietness, and the moon and stars are shining in the sky. And the speaker asks his friend, "Come, let us resume our search for scholar Gypsy."
Yeah, I mean, first he says you go and tend to your flock, and then I'll wait for you here, and
Yes.
we'll then again resume our quest. Now, this
And
is symbolic as well. For the
yes,
time being, you mind your household duties, but then please join the quest again. We should not give it up.
right. And then both these friends, they lie upon the grass
Yeah,
and read after read story
yeah.
legend of scholar Gypsy, which is written in the book by Joseph Glenville.
Glenville, yeah.
To put the matters in short, Glenville tells that there was scholar, right, at the University of Oxford,
He was a poor student.
poor student, right, and he could not fit himself in the academic environment of the Oxford University. And one fine morning, he disappeared from the university. And then people reported that he went to join the company of
Gypsies.
gypsies, and his objective was to learn the art of mesmerization. That is, in a way, we can say
Yeah.
art of hypnotism. So that is the simple story of the scholar Gypsy. And now, the speaker and his friend, both the shepherds, they resume search for a scholar Gypsy. And then the stanzas from 5 to
To
15.
15, the various encounters with him. Whoever has encountered some maidens who come to the dance festival in the month of May, they have seen him, his glimpses,
Yes, scholar Gypsy comes there stealthily and distributes flowers
flowers.
to these girls. And sometimes scholar Gypsy is seen by the Oxford horse riders who cross the bridge. And at other time, scholar Gypsy is seen sitting in a pensive mood
Yeah.
on the river bank, right, with
Yes.
his fingers dipped into water with the lap of flowers. And as soon as somebody goes near him, he simply runs
vanishes.
away,
Yeah.
right?
Housewives, sometimes they see him also
Sometimes
at their
shepherds
door.
who who take the sheep for the grazing on the hills, they also chance to see scholar Gypsy. So briefly, scholar Gypsy is to be seen at isolated places, the places which are away from the hustle and bustle of the urban,
Urban,
industrialized towns.
and essentially by the simple-minded people, innocent
Simple-minded.
people, housewives, maidens,
Shepherds,
shepherds.
idiots, lunatics, all
Yeah.
these people are able to see scholar Gypsy, and he is there. Then from stanza 15 till the last of the poem, uh, poet brings out a sharp contrast
Yeah.
between happy, innocent, and pure life of scholar Gypsy and the life of Victorians, the life of the 19th century people in England. But what he says about the life of the Victorians, all those remarks with equal force are applicable to the people of the 21st century as well.
I would
This is
say
to be
they
borne
are
in
they are
mind.
more applicable to 20th and 21st century, the modernity, the modern existence.
Exactly. Now here we have to understand. Now scholar Jesse is not an ordinary human being. He emerges as a symbol of ideal way of life.
Yeah, from
He,
the here onwards, the poem takes symbolical dimensions, and
yes,
even the earlier parts also assume symbolic significance. Because he
exactly.
says 200 years have elapsed. Why I am searching for you? You are long dead. But no, you cannot die.
You are not born to die.
Because why? He explains it why. Because why we die? He says why we die. We are worn and torn by the modern life because repeated shocks again and again. So
He describes that this modern life is nothing but it is as dangerous as a disease, as if we are stricken with this disease of modern life.
yes,
And then it goes on describing the symptoms of this disease of modern life,
yes.
and that is the sick hurry,
Sick hurry, divided
divided
aims,
aims,
and
overtaxed hate.
overtaxed head, palsied hearts.
So this is very important. We
Yeah.
all are always in hurry. You talk to anybody,
Yeah.
and the person will say, "I do not have time."
With the
As if
increasing technology, the hurry has intensified.
it's a really ironic, right?
Ironic,
And many of the things can be done at the click of the button. In fact, we should have more leisure time. But the sad reality of modern life is that we all do not have any time for anything.
And nobody is relaxed.
Nobody is relaxed. So this is a sick hurry. He calls it
Yeah,
sick
sick
hurry.
hurry.
Why we should be in such a hurry? Why should we run faster? Why should we do things so rapidly?
Because
Rather,
we
we should-
want to do everything, divided aims. We want to live 1,000 lives.
yes, divided aims. We do not know what to do
Yeah.
and why to do it.
And-
Rather, as against this, Scholar Gypsy has one aim.
One aim, one business, one desire.
So this is really important. This really strikes us that we have 100 different things to do, whereas Scholar Gypsy has only one aim, one business, and one desire.
We are the light half believers of our casual creed,
Race
who have neither clearly felt nor
not
clearly
strongly
willed.
willed.
Yeah.
So even our feelings are not intense.
They're not genuine.
Even we do
Yeah.
not have the strong willpower to achieve something. We start anything, we progress a bit,
Then you give it up.
give it up, and we simply retrace. He says we go back, and we lose the ground that we won yesterday, and we lose it today.
And many of us even don't know what to do.
What to do?
We don't have the carved out ideology or any anchor or any direction for that matter.
Exactly. Neither at the individual level nor at the collective level we have any dreams to pursue, any ideals to pursue, any values to cherish. Simply we spend our life in earning money or spending money or indulging in violence, carrying out wars and the battles. So what basically we have been doing for all these centuries. So this poem is thought provoking in that
And
sense.
around 200 years ago, he wrote, 150 years ago at least,
Exactly.
So-
And how apt he is in his remarks when he says that we suffer from the disease of modern life.
Well-
And then he talks about Scholar Gypsy. He's innocent, he's pure, he's simple, and therefore he
He's
receives this,
uncontaminated.
yes,
by
kind
this
of contaminated
modern
by the modern
disease.
life. And he says, you will definitely get a spark from the heaven. You will be divinely inspired, and you will be able to find out your goal. You will achieve your goal. And what and this spark is not going to come to us. We also wait like thee,
But not like thee in hope.
not like thee in hope. And he says, even the great intellectual among us who sits on the
Yeah.
intellectual throne, even he cannot have that spark. Now critics
Whom he is referring to, they are not unanimous
not sure.
in that.
Perhaps
Maybe he's not referring to anybody in particular also.
Right, but
they
critics
take
say-
Goethe.
Goethe or Carlyle,
Carlyle.
or most probably he's referring to Alfred Lord Tennyson,
Tennyson.
because he was the poet laureate of the
Yeah,
time
yeah.
when this poem was written. So even that person does not get spark, but that spark, heavenly spark, comes to Scholar Gypsy.
And poet says it would definitely come to you. He addresses Scholar Gypsy, but please run away from us. Please don't be contaminated by this disease called modern life or
Yes.
modernity.
And there is a Homeric simile in the end.
Yeah,
in
it's a long-winded simile.
24th and 25th stanza, that simile speaks that Phoenician sailor, as soon as he sees the merchant ships of Greek, he runs away from them. Similarly, he says that as Phoenician sailor had run away from the Greek ships, similarly you should also run away. That is, Scholar Gypsy should also run away from the modern Victorians, because if he comes in their contact, he would also suffer from the disease of the modern life. He would also lose his innocence, purity, and simplicity, and therefore he must go away, because we are suffering from the feverishness of life.
Where everything, contemporary philosophers said that the modernity, the bane of modernity is that everything has been reduced to machine and money.
And Mathew and Arnold could understand it in the 19th century itself.
As they say many a times, poets better predict the future than the scientists.
The poets are gifted with the
Yeah.
prophetic powers, right? They could see into the future. They could predict what is going to happen. And this poem, at its symbolical or metaphorical level, is very important, because poet asks that we should not give up our search for Scholar Gypsy. That is, even if we are passing through the crisis,
Yeah.
the crisis that has been brought about by the modern science and the technology, and overemphasis on rationalism and complete rejection of supernatural and divine.
Or at least the transcendence. We should say complete rejection of the transcendence. In whatever form it may it come in the supernatural form, divine form, or we can carve out any other forms of transcendence. but transcendence is the need of the human
So
race.
scholar justice symbolically is transcendence itself, right?
Yeah.
It is the spirit of transcendence, and therefore we must continue our search, our quest for this transcendental experience, because it is the transcendental experience. Be it come through religion, be it come through spirituality or philosophy or fine art or literature,
Humanism.
but it must be there. And once we have this transcendental experience, only then life would acquire true meaning, or it will acquire true value. Otherwise the entire life seems to be a meaningless tale narrated by an idiot, as
Signifying,
Shakespeare puts
full
it.
of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Right. So Matthew Arnold's this poem is really important. It really makes us think that what should be the purpose of life. This quest, this search for simplicity, search for innocence, search for some values that would provide a much needed anchor to humanity. Because humanity
Vinodji, do
seems,
you also relate it to the Rousseau's conception of state of nature? When Rousseau said that
yes.
we were not selfish and like egoist and nasty, British and short, as Thomas Hobbes says. It is the undue imposition of the civilizational behavior on the pre-civilizational human beings.
It is very difficult to say.
Yeah.
But one thing is certain.
Yeah.
In the last few centuries, when the technology has increased, when the scientific discoveries have increased, when the materialism has increased, we have become more selfish, more self-centered, and the collective connections have declined to the dramatic extent. And therefore, that this state of affairs makes me believe that Rousseau must have been right, because when all these things were not there, people must have lived a very simple, innocent,
And interdependent life.
interdependent life.
We are haunted, I would say, haunted by the delusion of independence.
Exactly. Because one of the things that the desire to possess basically is the root cause of all troubles, because
Yeah.
we want to possess.
Yeah, that's what Rousseau said.
But we want to possess land, machines, money, power, uh, even people.
Even people, yeah.
Right. So
Huh.
this is the thing, and this scholar Gypsy is away from this pernicious or dangerous impact of materialism, industrialization, urbanization, and therefore he has that divine spark. And
But then, Vinodji, strangely, the art of gypsies, which he is seeking also, poet has described it in a couple of lines as the gypsies can, bind you to any thoughts they like mesmerism, hypnotism, like.
right, they can
So
see
they,
into the heart of the things. Basically, what
yeah,
he is trying to say, that he will be able to read the mind of other person. Now, we should not take it
literally,
literally,
yeah.
but the art which can help you to see through the mind and heart of others, we can interpret positively, that if you are aware of
Yeah.
feelings of others,
Yeah.
if you are aware of the thoughts of
Others.
that will help to develop a greater degree of empathy.
Empathy.
That is needed, because if empathy is there among and between human beings, I think that society is going to be far better than this one, where we are running after more and more possessions.
So, friends, all this story and the symbolism that is narrated poetically with rhyme and rhythm and all the ornaments of poetry. We
And
should,
this poem
yeah.
is also well known for the wonderful descriptions of the Oxford countryside.
Yes.
He has referred to the plants, the trees, hills, and many other natural objects, and as if we are, walking through this Oxford countryside. It's an exact and accurate description
And who
of
knows, while walking through that countryside, we may also chance upon the scholar Gypsy,
exactly.
isn't it?
So on this
Yeah.
mysterious and positive note, we have come to the end of the discussion, and definitely you must be interested by this time to undertake the reading of Matthew Arnold's poetry, because he is one of the most fascinating, most interesting poets that we have ever come across.
Yes.
So friends, wait for the another discussion. Till that time, give your comments, give your opinions, suggest that on whose writings you
Yes.
want us to take up our discussions. We'll be back with some other discussion very soon. Take care.
Take care.